It was early 2019, and a senior Amazon executive, Jay Carney, was preparing for an important meeting. The former press secretary to US President Barack Obama, Carney was scheduled to talk with Indian ambassador to US in Washington DC. In Delhi, the Indian government had just announced FDI regulation that threatened to disrupt Amazon's business in India. Before the meeting, Amazon employees prepared a draft for Carney. The note, as reviewed by Reuters, advised Carney what to say and what not to say. He should highlight the fact that Amazon has committed more than $5.5 billion in investment in India and how it provided an online platform for 4 lakh plus Indian sellers. But he was warned not to talk about some 33 Amazon sellers that accounted for one third of all the goods sold on company's website. That information, the note advised, was sensitive and not for disclosure. Other company documents revealed equally sensitive information. Two more sellers on Amazon, sellers in which Amazon has indirect equity stakes, are responsible for 35% of revenue in early 2019. This meant some 35 of Amazon's more than 4 lakh sellers in India at the time accounted for two-thirds of its online sales. What Carney wound up telling the ambassador is unclear. However, a meeting did take place in April 2019, but neither side would comment on the specifics of the gathering. Indian traders, both brick and mortar and small online sellers, have long alleged that Amazon's platform largely benefited a tiny number of big sellers and that Amazon engages in predatory pricing. Amazon, as obvious, rejects this notion. The documents reviewed by Reuters are dated between 2012 and 2019. They include drafts of meeting notes, PowerPoint slides, business reports, and emails. India posed a unique challenge to the business model that made Amazon the biggest online retailer on the planet. Because foreign investment regulations in India prevent e-commerce firms from holding inventories of goods and selling them directly to consumers, companies like Amazon can only collect fees from vendors selling online products on their marketplace. Globally, about 42% of Amazon sales comes from direct sales to consumers. The ability to sell straight to the people in the United States and elsewhere has big benefits. It means Amazon can directly deal with the manufacturers, giving it greater control over its product range. It is this barrier, the regulatory wall around the consumers, that Amazon has been trying to overcome for the much of the past decade in India. The dirty business. To deal with the restrictions on direct sales, Amazon found an indirect way of reaching to consumers and boosting sales quickly. A seller was created named Cloudtail, which began offering goods on Amazon.in after it was set up in August 2014. Amazon has said that Cloudtail is an independent seller on its marketplace. A year after Cloudtail was created, Amazon told Indian business newspaper Mint that Cloudtail received the same privileges as any of the other sellers on our platform. But Amazon has deeply involved in expanding Cloudtail, often referred to as SM or Special Merchant in the documents. Launch, stabilize, grow Special Merchant, make it profitable, the report said. Amazon has big plan for Cloudtail. The target was to ensure Cloudtail accounted for 40% of Amazon's sale and build this into $1 billion plus business. To that end, the report reveals Amazon has helped Cloudtail acquire key relationships with the major tech companies including Apple, Microsoft, and OnePlus. This includes exclusive deals with these companies to sell their products such as smartphones. The smartphone deal and deep discount strategy that Cloudtail was offering on Amazon's website created a problem for offline market, said Arvindra Khurana, president of All India Mobile Retail Association. The entire market was disturbed, said Khurana, whose trade group represents 1.5 lakh mobile retail stores. There has been a year-on-year decline in sales at brick and mortar shops, he added. In March 2016, Cloudtail's share of sales of Amazon.in was around 47%, an internal document showed. Amazon does not make such numbers public, but that month, Amazon got some bad news. The Indian government announced new foreign investment rules. It capped sales percentage of online sales for a single seller at 25% of their total sales. To comply with the cap, Cloudtail's share of sales of Amazon platform had to be brought down to 25% or less. The new rule also required the e-commerce platform will not exercise any ownership over the inventory sold on its site. The internal company document showed that Amazon was effectively treating Cloudtail's inventory as its own at that time. So, to comply with 25% limit, Amazon moved some of the mobile phone brands that Cloudtail was selling to Amazon's Wholesale, a wholesale business to business operation in India. Amazon Wholesale then supplied these products to certain sellers, who in turn sold them on Amazon.in. Addressing the 25% of sales cap on single seller, Amazon also proposed having a second special merchant in addition to Cloudtail. It estimated that two special merchants would together account for half of the sales on its platform. In 2017, a new special merchant named Appareo, referred to as SM2, an internal document was created. One internal Amazon document from 2019 states that two special merchants get subsidized fees and access to Amazon global retail tools. These tools are used for things like inventory and invoice management. In late 2018, Amazon's major online sales promotion, the Great Indian Festival, was a smash. During the big sale, Indian head Agrawal rejoiced in internal email to employees. "The first 36 hours of sales surpassed every event in our history," he wrote. "We had our biggest day ever for smartphones, with estimated 3 out of every 4 smartphones sold in entire country was purchased on Amazon. This is truly phenomenal." With nation's elections looming in April 2019, Modi government struck again. In December 2018, it announced new restrictions that prohibited vendors in which marketplace like Amazon have equity interest from selling products on its marketplace. The aim, government officials told Reuters at that time, was to discourage deep discounting offered by big online retailers. The new limit forced Amazon to restructure its relationship with Cloudtail and Appareo, the two special merchants in which it held indirect stakes. As a company document showed, the two then accounted for 35% of Amazon's online sale. The regulatory change was widely seen in India as a move by Modi to encourage small traders, a critical part of its party's electoral base. It was this change to foreign investment rules that Amazon executive Jay Carney wanted to discuss with Indian ambassador at that time. In the early hours of February 1, 2019, thousands of products being sold by Cloudtail and Appareo vanished from Amazon's website in compliance with the deadline for the new rules. But days later, the products were back as Amazon reduced its equity stake in the parent company of the two sellers. This tactic, the company believed, made it compliant with the new rules according to the internal document from 2019. Despite everything, Amazon continues to call itself as a platform for the little guy. For its big sale in October, it ran a front page newspaper ad that read, "Celebrating India's small business and entrepreneurs." Until next time, thank you for watching.